Will 2016 be the year the political establishment of both parties gets toppled? I'll be joined by Bernie Sanders, another outsider who has upset the old political order. Also, the commander-in-chief test, with America facing challenges on a scale not seen since 9/11. Which candidate is best qualified to keep us safe at home and abroad? And film director Spike Lee on America's gun culture.
Why are we okay with that 88 Americans die every day due to gun violence? Why are we okay with that?
Joining me this morning for insight and analysis are Matt Bai of Yahoo News, Helene Cooper of the New York Times, Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report, and Michael Gerson of the Washington Post. Welcome to Sunday. It's Meet the Press.
From NBC News in Washington, this is Meet the Press.
And good Sunday morning. I'm Andrea Mitchell, in for Chuck Todd, who is taking a well-deserved holiday break. 12 months ago, most political pundits would have laughed in your face if you suggested that by the end of the year, Donald Trump would have a commanding lead in the race for the Republican nomination. And Bernie Sanders would be giving Hillary Clinton a run for her money on the Democratic side. But 2015 has been a year when conventional wisdom was turned on its head. The big question for 2016 is whether the old order can reassert itself. In a moment, I'll be joined by Bernie Sanders. But this Christmas week, there wasn't any peace and goodwill from Trump as he used a vulgar term to refer to Hillary Clinton's 2008 defeat to Barack Obama, and criticized her for taking a bathroom break during last weekend's Democratic debate.
She got schlonged. I know where she went. It's disgusting. I don't want to talk about it.
Clinton hit back, accusing Trump of using degrading and sexist language.
Nothing really surprises me anymore. I don't know that he has any boundaries at all. And his bigotry, his bluster, his bullying have become his campaign. My next guest, Bernie Sanders, responded with humor.
I gotta be honest with you, gotta lay it out on the table. I also went to the bathroom.
Sanders has shown surprising strength in the early voting states and in some hypothetical matchups against Trump. But what is his path to the nomination? Senator Sanders joins me now from Burlington, Vermont. Welcome back to Meet the Press. Happy holidays, Senator.
Happy holidays to you and to all of your viewers.
Thank you very much. Well, let's talk about, first of all, this data breach and the dust-up between you and the Democratic Party. You fired one staffer, suspended two others. Has any other action been taken? Any update now on this dispute?
Well, we're trying to work with the DNC to put this whole thing behind us. There were two breaches. We screwed up on one, and the other one, we did the right thing. Right now, we're in negotiations with the DNC. Frankly, Andrea, I think for the American people, there are far more important issues, having to do with the disappearance of the American middle class and huge income and wealth inequality and climate change and a corrupt campaign finance system. So I think on both sides, we'd like to focus on the real issues.
Well, while you're trying to, as you point out, focus on the real issues, there has been charges of sexism back and forth between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. He used a vulgar term against her and then said it wasn't really that vulgar. Then she said that she's going to have Bill Clinton campaigning in January, and he tweeted out in the last 24 hours, Hillary Clinton has announced she is letting her husband out to campaign, but he's demonstrate a penchant for sexism, so inappropriate. Are we going to get into an argument not only of sexism between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, but Donald Trump attacking Bill Clinton?
Well, I tell you what, we're going to let my wife Jane out, and I think Hillary is going to be in real trouble. But look, the real issues are not Donald Trump's vulgarity, and he is vulgar. It is the fact that Donald Trump thinks we should not be raising the minimum wage. He believes that wages in America are too high. This guy wants to give hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the top 0.3%. And meanwhile, what he wants to do is divide our country between Latinos and Americans and between Muslims and everybody else. That's not the kind of America we need. Andrea, what we have got to do is ask the hard questions, and that is, why is it that the people on top are doing phenomenally well while almost everybody else is seeing a decline in their real incomes? Why is it that we're not effectively addressing the fact that climate change is absolutely real. I am in Burlington, Vermont right now. Nobody can recall a Christmas Eve the likes of which we have seen, where the temperature was 65 degrees. And what the scientists are telling us, if we don't get our act together, we're going to be leaving a planet to our kids and grandchildren which is not going to be in good shape. And yet Donald Trump, among others, denies even the reality of climate change, let alone doing something about it. So we got some really important issues to discuss in this campaign, and I intend to do just that.
Well, while these are really important issues, what recent polling shows is that Americans since Paris, since Bernardino, are more concerned about terrorism, the threat of terrorism, than they are about the economy, at least according to the polling. And in fact, you had polled within 8 points of Hillary Clinton in a recent CNN poll taken before last Saturday night's debate, but the margin widened to 33 points among those polled after the Saturday night debate, which showed, which focused heavily on foreign policy. Let me just finish. Doesn't it show that you still, among people who are concerned about foreign policy, concerned about terror, you really have some ground to make up against Hillary Clinton?
You know, it's interesting the way CNN spun that poll, because you know what that poll showed? It showed between their last poll and this current poll, we gained 12 points on Hillary Clinton. She dropped 8, we went up by 4. That is the message of the poll. Another poll came out, Rasmussen, also showing us closing the gap. In New Hampshire, some of the recent polls have us ahead, and in Iowa, we're close to catching up to her. So I think what the polls are showing is that the American people are responding to our message. Now, in terms of ISIS and in terms of foreign policy, these are, of course, huge issues. The American people are concerned about another terrorist attack, and what I have said over and over again, we must destroy ISIS, but we must do it in a way that is smart.
At the same time, the polling has shown that on foreign policy and on ISIS, that you are far, far behind Hillary Clinton. And you have said that you would somehow persuade the Saudis to stop fighting in Yemen and turn their attention to ISIS. No one else has been able to get that, to persuade the Saudis to do that. How could you, as commander-in-chief, do what other presidents have failed to do in terms of getting the Saudis to listen to what America wants for the fight against these terror groups?
Well, it's what has got to happen, and certainly the United States and the other major powers have a great deal of leverage. A, it cannot be the United States alone. B, what many people in the Middle East understand, it must be the Muslims themselves on the ground destroying ISIS. So what we need is, in fact, a coalition. Saudi Arabia, Qatar are incredibly wealthy countries, and they have got to start using some of their resources to help us destroy ISIS, rather than, in the case of Saudi Arabia, fighting in Yemen. In the case of Qatar, spending hundreds of billions of dollars in preparation for the World Cup in 2022. So what I think American leadership is about is putting together that international coalition to destroy ISIS. But let me also say this, Andrea. I know sometimes the media thinks that is the only issue. It is an enormously important issue. We have got to defend America. We have got to destroy ISIS. But right now, people are watching this program who are 55, 60 years of age. They have $0 in their retirement account. They're wondering how they're going to make it in their older age, which is why we have to expand Social Security. There are millions of young people out there desperately want to go to college, don't want to leave college, deeply in debt. We have got to deal with that issue. We're the only major country on earth that doesn't provide paid family and medical leave, doesn't provide health care for all people as a right. We cannot ignore those issues. So my view is, yes, of course, we've got to focus on foreign policy. We have to destroy ISIS. But I will not stop fighting for working families and the middle class, will not stop taking on a billionaire class whose greed in many ways is destroying our economy.
Now, as you head into these early voting states, you have to win New Hampshire, your neighboring state. You're ahead in most polls there. Do you feel that the Democratic Party, led by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, is trying to sabotage your campaign and not being an impartial arbiter going into these early fights?
Well, as you've indicated, there's no question but that both Iowa and New Hampshire are enormously important for me or for any other candidate. When I began this campaign, Andrea, we were nationally at 3–4% in the polls. We are way, way behind in Iowa, way, way behind in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, I think we may be a little bit ahead. In Iowa, we're closing the gap. So in my view, we've got a real shot to win Iowa. We've got a real shot to win New Hampshire. I am going to be spending a lot of time in the next 4 or 5 weeks in Iowa, in New Hampshire. We have a wonderful grassroots organization, a lot of volunteers who are knocking on doors. And if we can win in Iowa or New Hampshire, I think it really does open us up to a path toward victory.
Is the DNC giving you a fair shot?
Look, we have had our differences of opinion with the DNC, but at the end of the day, the DNC, Hillary Clinton, and myself, we want to defeat right-wing extremism in this country. So we're trying to work out our differences of opinion.
Well, Senator, thank you very much, and a happy holiday to you and your family. Safe travels.
Thank you very much.
Welcome all. Well, Amy Walter, first to you. Clearly a truce between Bernie Sanders and Debbie Wasserman Schultz on that. But what about Donald Trump going after Hillary Clinton, going after Bill Clinton? Does this work for him?
Well, it has thus far. Look, I think Donald Trump has done something unique in this campaign, which is he has understood the Republican electorate better than any other of the Republican candidates going in there, and he's understood the media environment in which he can make these pronouncements. The problem for Donald Trump, though, is for as well as he is doing currently on the Republican side, he continues to make himself less electable in the general election. You look at where his negatives are, they're higher than Hillary Clinton's. If you look at the matchups between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in a general election, he's the only Republican candidate losing to Hillary Clinton, in some cases by more than 10 points. So for as much as this is getting him all the attention that he loves and adores and is getting him the crowds of Republicans, it is pushing him further and further away from the possibility of actually winning a general election.
At the same time, Matt Bai, she has had difficulty energizing younger women, millennials. Is this attack by Donald Trump going to help her energize the women support that she really needs?
Could. I mean, Hillary Clinton might be having the luckiest year of any nominee in recent memory. She's had Bernie Sanders, who, you know, is going to wage a real fight in those early states. But I think if you had told her early on, this is going to be your only serious opponent at this time of the race, she'd have been pretty happy about that. And then theoretically, she could draw Donald Trump or even Ted Cruz, who I think do give her a great platform. So, you know, look, she's up against a very difficult historical win, trying to get a third term for her party. She would be the oldest nominee, the oldest president taking office we've seen. You know, all of that won't matter very much if she's just very lucky in who she draws. Yep. And to this point, she's looking very lucky.
Yep. Helene Cooper, we saw Bernie Sanders, even today, not talking about foreign policy. He started our interview talking about climate change, economic disparity, his wheelhouse. Even after the most recent polls show that he really lost ground in that debate last Saturday night when he failed to respond effectively, according to those polled, on foreign policy.
That's absolutely true, and I think he's just not that comfortable there. He doesn't really want to talk about it. You see him, and you see many of the Republican candidates as well, when it comes to foreign policy, they repeat the same talking points, and they say that we need a coalition. A lot of the things that they say that we should be doing are things, I would add, that the administration is already doing. So it's just sort of watching them, and I felt that way as well with the Republican debate, the last Republican debate, where these guys are talking and they're coming out with these phrases that are designed to make them seem as if they're being strong. But when you look behind the sort of the rhetoric, and there's not much there. When you ask for specifics, as you did, you didn't hear a lot coming back.